So it turns out this is an Indiana Jones film. I just had no idea until the last act of the film. Let's get into it. Hello movie fans, welcome back. I'm Matt and today we are discussing the final Indiana Jones film, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, starring Harrison Ford, Mads Mikkelsen, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. This film is directed by probably the most solid and underrated director in Hollywood in James Mangold. I mean, the dude has a slew of great films including 3:10 to Yuma, Copland, Ford v Ferrari, Walk the Line, and probably and arguably the greatest comic book movie in all time in Logan. And once again, he masterfully directs this film and brings a distinct vision to the screen, especially when taking over for the GOAT, Steven Spielberg. So, in this movie, Indiana Jones finds himself in a new era, approaching retirement and trying to fit into a world that has seemingly outgrown him. But an all too familiar evil returns in the form of an old rival, and Indy is once again tasked with making sure that an ancient and powerful artifact doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Now obviously Harrison Ford is a star, but as Indiana Jones, he is an icon. And Ford's range is on full display as he effortlessly transitions between playing the grumpy old man to the wide-eyed explorer fascinated by history. His portrayal this time, at least to me, brings the most grounded and compelling version of Indy we've ever seen on screen. But I'm not sure if that's a good thing. I'm still debating with myself about that. And on the heels of that performance might be the most grounded installment of the franchise. Which is funny to say considering what happens in the last act of the movie, but that'll make much more sense once you've seen the film. And when I say it's grounded, I mean that we see Indy deal with real-world problems and emotions, and we see how his experiences have affected him throughout his years. And this is a completely different take on the hero himself. And rather than rely on heavy spectacle, the film puts the story at the forefront, really allowing Ford's performance to shine through. And again, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Additionally, the film does as good of a job as it can incorporating Harrison Ford's age into the action. However, it's hard to ignore the fact that he's now 80 years old. But the visual effects is a different story. In the trailer, we're introduced to the idea that a younger Indy is being incorporated into the film. And the visual effects when under low light or little movement, for the most part works, but it's 100% noticeable during the high action scenes. And this might have been just me, but the voice just doesn't seem to match the incarnation of the younger character that we get during these scenes. And while it's not a complete detriment to the film, it's worth noting that these scenes may not live up to the high standards set by the franchise. The artifact and the adventure at the center of the film do provide an enjoyable and mystical journey, when it actually happens. The movie isn't afraid to embrace the supernatural elements when the time is right, and it's these things that immerse us in a world where history and mythology collide. And it's this blend of fantasy and history that have always been a hallmark of the Indiana Jones series. Mads Mikkelsen, who is just a world-class actor and never fails to deliver, is this film's villain, and naturally he's great in this. But while he excels in playing the role, I'm starting to wonder if he's starting to get typecast too much in playing such roles. But nevertheless, Mikkelsen's performance adds an undeniable gravitas to the film. Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays Helena Shaw, Indiana's goddaughter in this film, and man is she infuriatingly annoying in this film. Please don't get me wrong, she's a good actress, but the film presents her one way, and shortly after she's showing her true colors, which include completely disrespecting the legacy and character that is Indiana Jones. Now I don't want to dive into specifics because I want to keep this review spoiler free, but I couldn't help but notice that she comes across like a Disney executive. Story comes second to money, and that'll make a lot more sense once you've seen the movie. And when the film finally reaches the third act, we start to get the resemblance of a classic indie film that includes her shift in tone towards him as well. But you know, when I was leaving the theater, I couldn't help but feel that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny doesn't fully capture the essence of an Indiana Jones film until its final act. And while the adventure eventually does take off, I couldn't help but ask myself numerous times throughout the movie, am I even watching an Indiana Jones movie? I mean, even John Williams returned to score the film, and the music is great, except I couldn't help but feel that they were afraid to use the iconic Indiana Jones theme. And look, I understand that it can't be littered in every second of every scene, but it felt noticeably absent when it seemed like the right moment to use it, so I'm not really sure what was going on there. In the end, is Dial of Destiny one too many Indiana Jones films? Well, to be honest, I'm torn on the subject. I mean, there are things I do like about this movie, and despite my issues, I would still recommend Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny to everyone. I would say just be prepared for some deviations from the familiar formula, but the film does offer a thrilling adventure anchored by Harrison Ford's captivating performance. It just may take some time to fully embrace that classic Indiana Jones feeling for you. Also, it still doesn't touch the original trilogy. Those are untouchable. I'm just letting it be known now. As always, I encourage you to watch the film for yourself and form your own opinion though. Let me know your thoughts about it down in the comments and have your voices be heard. Also, if you enjoyed this review, please like this video and subscribe to my channel to get a new movie review from me every week. Next week, the Insidious franchise returns to scare the living crap out of me in the dead heat of July in Insidious: The Red Door. Thank God we have air conditioning. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in theaters next week.